The city streets were quiet that evening, the kind of quiet that makes every sound feel sharper. Emma glanced at her watch, 6:47 p.m., and realized she had been walking for almost half an hour since leaving the coffee shop. Her phone buzzed, but it was just a message from her friend Lily. "Hope you got home safe." Emma sighed and tucked her phone away. The street lights flickered along the sidewalk, casting long shadows. She always felt a little uneasy walking alone at this hour. That was when she heard footsteps behind her. "Hey, Emma." She turned to see Daniel, Lily's older brother. He looked casual, wearing a hoodie and jeans, but there was a calm confidence about him that made her relax instantly. "Daniel, you scared me," she said, managing a small laugh. "I saw you walking and thought I'd make sure you got home okay," he replied, walking beside her. His voice was soft, easy, and somehow comforting. Emma felt her shoulders loosen. Daniel had always been friendly, but lately she had noticed something different in the way he looked at her. She shook her head, dismissing the thought. Maybe she was imagining it. They fell into an easy conversation, talking about school, Lily, and mundane things that suddenly felt important just because Daniel was listening. The air had a slight chill, but walking beside him made it feel warmer. At a corner, Daniel slowed down. "So, do you live far from here?" "Not too far," Emma replied. "Just a few blocks. Why?" He hesitated, then said, "Well, I was thinking maybe I could walk you all the way home. It's safer." Emma felt a flutter in her chest. It was just a walk, but somehow it felt like more. She nodded. "Okay, thanks." As they continued down the street, the conversation shifted to quieter, more personal things. Emma found herself sharing little stories she hadn't told anyone in a while. Daniel listened, genuinely interested, and she realized how rare it was to feel this understood. A gust of wind swept past, and Emma shivered. Daniel immediately offered his hoodie. "Here, you'll catch a cold." She hesitated, but then took it. The fabric was warm, and even though it was just a hoodie, it felt intimate, like a small shield against the evening chill. They reached a small park near her apartment. The swings swayed slightly in the wind, and the streetlights gave everything a golden glow. Daniel stopped walking, and for a moment, there was silence. Emma looked at him, unsure. There was something in his eyes, something unspoken that made her heart skip a beat. There's something I've been meaning to tell you," Daniel finally said. His voice was low, almost hesitant. Emma's curiosity spiked. "Oh? What is it?" He looked down at his shoes, then back at her. "It's kind of big." Her stomach tightened. Big? What could he possibly mean? Her mind raced through possibilities, some silly, some serious. Emma realized she hadn't felt this nervous around anyone in a long time. There was a tension in the air that wasn't uncomfortable, just charged. She swallowed, trying to steady herself. "You can tell me," she said softly, encouragingly. Daniel smiled faintly. "Okay, I guess you'll have to wait just a little longer." Emma laughed nervously, her heart pounding. Something told her this night was going to change everything, but she didn't know how. As they continued walking, a strange mix of excitement and apprehension settled in her chest. She had no idea what he was about to reveal, but she knew it would be important. If you're enjoying this story so far, please like the video and subscribe for more heartfelt tales. By the time they reached the corner of her street, Emma's mind was buzzing with anticipation. Daniel paused again, his expression unreadable. "I promise it's not what you're thinking, but it's something you should know," he said softly. Emma looked at him, her curiosity piquing. "Something I should know?" she echoed. And in that quiet moment, with the streetlights casting a warm glow around them, Emma realized her ordinary evening had turned into something she would never forget. Emma watched Daniel carefully as they turned onto her street. His face was calm, but there was a subtle tension in his jaw, a hint that he was holding back something. She tried to guess what it could be. A surprise? A confession? Something about Lily? Her mind raced with every possibility. The sidewalks were nearly empty. A few cars passed by slowly, their headlights cutting through the soft darkness. Emma felt the hoodie around her shoulders, a comforting weight, and realized how much closer she felt to Daniel in just a few minutes. "You've been quiet," Daniel said suddenly, breaking the rhythm of her thoughts. "I'm just thinking," she replied, smiling faintly, "about what you said, that it's something big." He chuckled softly, a sound that made her heart skip again. "Yeah, big, but it's not exactly dramatic or anything scary, just important." Emma's curiosity only grew. She wanted to ask more, but something in his tone told her to wait. So she stayed silent, letting the anticipation build. They reached the small park at the end of her block. The swings were still swaying in the breeze, and a faint scent of flowers lingered from the nearby garden. Daniel stopped, looking out at the quiet street. "I've never done this before," he said, almost to himself. Emma tilted her head. "Done what?" He turned toward her, his eyes meeting hers. "Talk about things that matter, honestly. I usually keep stuff to myself." There was a pause, and Emma could see the weight of his words. It was rare to see someone so open, so vulnerable. She felt a mix of admiration and warmth. "I'm glad you're telling me," she said softly. "Really." Daniel's lips curved into a small, genuine smile. "Thanks, that means a lot." For a moment, they just stood there, watching the quiet neighborhood. Emma felt the air shift, the connection between them deepening with every passing second. She realized she hadn't felt this comfortable with anyone in a long time. Then, Daniel took a small step closer. "Emma, I need to tell you something about me. Something I haven't really told anyone." Her heart pounded. She nodded, trying to encourage him without rushing. "I'm listening." He took a deep breath. "I've been thinking a lot lately about what I want and who I want in my life, and it's been hard to figure out how to say it without messing things up." Emma's stomach fluttered. She wanted to ask him to hurry, to just tell her, but she didn't. She could feel the sincerity in his voice, the care in his words. Finally, he met her eyes fully. I like you, more than just as Lily's friend. I've liked you for a while now, and I wasn't sure how to tell you." Emma froze, her mind spinning. She hadn't expected this. Not tonight, not like this. Her heart raced, and a warmth spread through her chest. She searched his face, looking for any hint that he might be joking, but he was serious. I don't know what to say," she whispered, her voice trembling slightly. "You don't have to say anything," he said quickly, not wanting to pressure her. "I just wanted you to know. I couldn't keep it to myself anymore." Emma felt a rush of emotions, surprise, relief, and a strange, tender joy. She realized she had been thinking about Daniel more than she admitted, and now, hearing it from him, it all made sense. A soft breeze rustled the leaves above them. The quiet night felt intimate, as if the world had paused just for them. "I like you too," she admitted finally, almost breathless. "I just didn't know if you felt the same way." Daniel's face lit up with a mixture of surprise and happiness. He took a small step closer, careful not to crowd her, and smiled. "You have no idea how happy that makes me." Emma laughed softly, a sound that felt light and freeing. I think I'm starting to understand what you meant by something big. Daniel nodded, still smiling, but then his expression grew slightly serious again. There's one more thing, something I should tell you. It's kind of unexpected, and I wasn't sure how to bring it up. Emma's stomach tightened again. Even after what he had just said, she sensed there was more, something that might change everything. She looked at him, her heart pounding. "What is it?" she asked softly. Daniel hesitated, his eyes searching hers. "It's about my family, and it might affect us both in ways you wouldn't expect." Emma felt a wave of nerves and curiosity at once. She wanted to know, but also feared what the revelation might be. The streetlights flickered, casting soft shadows around them. The night suddenly felt heavier, as if it was holding its breath with her. And in that quiet, suspended moment, Emma realized that this walk home, simple, ordinary, had turned into a turning point she could never have anticipated. Emma's mind raced as they stood there under the dim glow of the streetlights. Daniel's words about his family lingered, heavier than the evening air. She hadn't expected the night to turn from a simple walk into a series of confessions. Her heart was still fluttering from his first revelation, and now she sensed there was more to come. Daniel ran a hand through his hair, looking uneasy. "It's complicated," he admitted. "I didn't want to worry you, but you deserve to know." Emma nodded slowly. "I want to know. Whatever it is, I can handle it." He exhaled, relief flickering across his features. "Okay, so my family is moving. Not far, but enough that things are going to change. My dad got a new job in another city, and we're going to have to leave in a few months." Emma blinked, surprised. "Oh, I didn't realize it was so soon." "Yeah," Daniel said, his voice quiet. "I didn't know how to tell you either. I didn't want it to ruin tonight, or us, but I couldn't not say anything." Emma processed the news, a mix of emotions twisting inside her. She had just discovered Daniel liked her, and now he might be leaving. The thought of that possibility made her chest tighten. "I guess that does change things," she said softly, trying to keep her emotions in check. "It might," Daniel admitted, "but I didn't want it to stop me from telling you how I feel. I figured some things are worth the risk, even if the timing isn't perfect." Emma felt her heart swell. His honesty, his courage, it made her respect him even more. She realized how rare it was to meet someone willing to be vulnerable like this. They walked the last few blocks to her apartment slowly, the quiet between them filled with unspoken thoughts. Emma couldn't stop thinking about the future, about how this revelation might affect everything. As they reached the steps to her building, Daniel paused again. "Emma, I know this is sudden, but I want you to know something else too." She looked up at him, curiosity mingling with concern. "What is it?" "I don't know if this will change your mind, but I've been thinking, I want to try, even if it's just a short time before my family moves. I don't want to ignore how I feel, and I don't want to miss a chance with you." Emma felt a warmth spread through her chest. I feel the same way," she admitted. "Even if things are uncertain, I want to see where this goes." Daniel's face lit up, a mixture of joy and relief. "Really? You mean it?" "Yes," she said firmly. "I don't want to ignore this either." For a moment, they just stood there, taking it all in. The ordinary steps in front of her apartment suddenly felt like the threshold to something entirely new. Then Daniel glanced at his watch. "I should probably head back before Lily notices I've been gone," he said with a small smile. Emma laughed softly. "Yeah, she'll start wondering if you've gone missing." They shared a brief, awkward laugh, but neither of them moved immediately. There was a pause filled with the weight of unspoken words, the excitement of newfound feelings, and the uncertainty of what was to come. Daniel reached out, brushing a stray strand of hair from Emma's face. "I promise, I'll make the most of the time we have, even if it's short." Emma nodded, her heart pounding. "I'd like that," she whispered. He smiled, a mixture of reassurance and anticipation in his eyes. "We'll figure it out, step by step." They lingered for a few more moments, letting the quiet of the night wrap around them. The ordinary city street had become the backdrop for something extraordinary, a beginning that neither of them had expected. As Daniel finally turned to leave, Emma felt a strange mix of happiness and apprehension. She knew the coming months would be complicated, but for the first time in a long while, she felt genuinely hopeful. And as she watched him walk away, she realized that sometimes the biggest surprises come when you least expect them, and the ones that matter most are worth holding on to, even when life feels uncertain. The next few days were a whirlwind for Emma. She kept replaying the walk home in her mind, Daniel's quiet confession lingering like a soft echo. Every time her phone buzzed with a message from him, her heart raced. "Hey, you," one text read. "Hope your day's going okay." Simple words, but they carried weight. Emma smiled, feeling a warmth she hadn't felt in months. It was small things like this that made her realize how much Daniel's presence had already settled into her life. When they saw each other in school, things felt different. There was an unspoken connection now, a shared secret that made ordinary moments feel charged. A glance across the classroom, a brief smile in the hallway, it was like discovering a new color in a familiar world. One afternoon, Emma and Daniel found themselves walking home together again. The sky was painted in shades of pink and orange, the kind of sunset that makes you stop and just stare. They walked in comfortable silence, letting the evening wrap around them. "You've been quieter today," Daniel finally said. "I've just been thinking," Emma replied, tucking her hands into her hoodie pockets, "about everything, about us." He nodded, glancing at her with a soft smile. "I've been thinking too, about how fast everything is moving and how little time we might have before my family leaves." Emma felt a pang of sadness at the reminder. But then she looked at him, really looked, and saw the determination in his eyes. Despite the uncertainty, he wanted to make the most of the time they had. "Do you think it'll work?" she asked quietly. "I want it to," he said without hesitation. "I know it won't be easy, but I don't want to let fear stop something that feels right." Emma felt her chest tighten with emotion. She realized that what they had now, fragile as it might be, was worth taking a chance on, worth stepping into the unknown together. As they neared her building, Daniel stopped and turned to her. "Emma, there's something else I want to do, something I've been thinking about since that first night I walked you home." Her curiosity spiked, but she didn't ask yet. She could feel it coming, the next part of the reveal, the next step that would deepen the bond forming between them. "I want to share more of my life with you," he said, his voice softer now. "Not just here or at school. I want you to meet my family before we move. I want you to see where I come from, who I am beyond what you've seen so far." Emma's heart fluttered. Meeting family wasn't a small step. It meant trust, openness, and a deeper connection. But it also meant that Daniel wanted her to be part of his world, even with the uncertainty ahead. "I'd like that," she said finally, her voice steady despite the excitement and nerves swirling inside her. "I'd like to meet them." Daniel's smile was radiant, filled with relief and hope. "Good. It means a lot to me." They lingered near her building, not quite ready to say goodbye. There was a gentle tension in the air, a mixture of excitement, uncertainty, and the quiet thrill of something new and meaningful. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the street in golden shadows, Emma felt a strange sense of anticipation. The days ahead promised changes she couldn't yet predict, but for the first time in a long while, she felt ready to face them. And just as Daniel finally turned to leave, he paused and looked back. "Emma, no matter what happens, I want tonight to be one we remember." Emma's lips curved into a small smile. "It already is," she whispered. But as she watched him disappear around the corner, a small seed of worry grew in her chest. What if the changes coming with his family moved too fast? What if distance made what they had impossible? The night was calm, but her thoughts were anything but. She realized that love, no matter how genuine, always comes with challenges, and sometimes the hardest part is holding on when life starts to shift beneath your feet. The next week was a whirlwind of preparation for Daniel's family. Boxes lined the hallways of his house, half packed, half scattered. The thought of moving weighed heavily on him, yet his messages to Emma were constant, filled with reassurance and warmth. Emma, meanwhile, found herself thinking about him constantly. Every time she passed familiar streets, she imagined walking beside him, sharing small moments, stolen glances, laughter that lingered in the air long after it ended. One Friday evening, Daniel invited her over before his family left for the weekend. "I want you to meet my parents," he said. "I think it'll help to understand everything a little better." Emma hesitated for only a moment before agreeing. She had grown to trust him, and she knew this was important. It was more than meeting parents. It was stepping into a world she had never known, but wanted to be part of. His family welcomed her warmly, making her feel immediately comfortable. His younger sister, playful and curious, asked endless questions, and his mom offered her snacks with a kindness that made Emma smile. Daniel's dad, quiet but observant, nodded at her with an approving smile. As the evening unfolded, Emma realized how much Daniel's life shaped him. His home, his family, the love and support around him, it all explained why he was so thoughtful, so considerate, and so genuine. After dinner, they stepped outside to watch the sunset. The sky was a mix of purple and gold, the perfect backdrop for quiet confessions and lingering moments. Daniel turned to her, taking her hand gently. "I'm glad you came," he said softly. "It means a lot to me, having you here, before everything changes." Emma squeezed his hand, feeling a warmth that had nothing to do with the evening air. "I'm glad I came too. I feel part of your world now, and that matters." For a moment, they simply stood there, holding hands, watching the sun dip below the horizon. The quiet was comforting, a reminder that some things, like this connection between them, were worth holding on to, no matter the challenges ahead. As the weekend passed, the reality of the move loomed closer. Boxes were loaded into the moving van, goodbyes were said, and the streets they had walked together felt emptier than ever. But Daniel and Emma remained steadfast, their bond strengthened by honesty, trust, and shared moments. On the morning of the move, Daniel handed Emma a small envelope. "Open it when I'm gone," he said with a faint smile. Emma watched him leave, her heart heavy but hopeful. Later, she opened the envelope to find a letter. In it, Daniel wrote about how much she meant to him, about the moments they had shared, and about his hopes for the future. He promised to stay in touch, to make time for her, and to continue what they had started, no matter the distance. Tears filled her eyes, not from sadness, but from the intensity of their connection. Distance could not erase the feelings they had nurtured, the courage they had shared, or the quiet moments that had changed everything. Days turned into weeks, and their relationship adapted to calls, texts, and weekend visits. Every conversation, every message carried the same honesty and care that had marked their first walk home together. Emma realized that life's changes, though sometimes sudden and challenging, could bring unexpected gifts. She had discovered a love rooted in patience, trust, and emotional openness, a love that began with a simple walk home and a quiet revelation. And though the streets where it all started were now empty, the memories lingered, glowing warmly in her heart, reminding her that some moments, quiet, honest, and sincere, could change a life forever. Emma smiled as she read the letter one more time, feeling a sense of peace. Love, she understood, was not always about timing or perfect circumstances. Sometimes it was about finding someone willing to walk beside you through the uncertainty and cherish every moment together. And in that certainty, Emma knew one thing. Some revelations, no matter how unexpected, were worth everything.